Can you make money teaching yoga in 2026? Absolutely. And we have to step outside the status quo box that I'm seeing so many teachers get stuck in, and especially new yoga teachers. So I see so many professionals building great careers around wellness and yoga and their passions. And these are often people who have started to think outside of the normal way of doing things or the old way of doing things as a yoga teacher. So, today I'm going to go over what is that trap that often new yoga teachers are getting stuck in, and then the 3 steps to actually make a living teaching yoga in 2026, if that sounds good to you. Now, first, I know that we are not a money hungry bunch. Yoga teachers don't often lead with money, they don't care about it that much. And some shift that I'm seeing that is important for people to have passionate and impactful careers, like a yoga teaching career, like if you're drawn to that, we have to kind of shift the way we're thinking about money. We need it. It's like hierarchy of needs. If you don't have a roof over your head or food, it's hard to serve others and help others, like in a teaching career. We can kind of think about the money like the roots of a tree. We often don't plant a tree in our yard just for the roots. We are planting it for the shade it provides and the fruit that it bears and the beauty that it has. But it needs a strong root system, which is the money. So the money is important so that we can grow something beautiful, grow a beautiful life, grow a beautiful passion-filled career that helps others. And like practically speaking, I see this all the time. So many of the mentees that work with me seem to have science backgrounds. I don't know why, because I have an artist background. I'm a dancer and a visual artist. So for some reason, I am attracting all the software engineers and food scientists and, science background folks. So a lot of my private mentees have a career that pays way more than a typical, we're going to get there, this trap, a typical yoga class will pay. So if your yoga class, you only get 2 a week and they pay $30, that doesn't even touch our software engineer salaries, right? And so this is providing a big sticky point in yoga teachers' lives because it just doesn't make sense. It's not fair to our families to leave the house for $30 a class. It doesn't energetically make sense. And what I see is a lot of yoga teachers quitting before their career even begins because they're making so much more in this career that often y'all say, like, I don't hate my speech therapy job. It's fine. I went to school for it. I'm good at it. I just love yoga so much more. I'm just passionate about yoga, but I don't hate speech therapy. I don't hate being a software engineer. So it just takes precedent over making $30 a class twice a week. This is the big trap, and there's a way out. So the trap is that we often are used to institutions or industries that are more supportive than the yoga industry currently is in 2026. I hope we get a change. But we're used to, you go to this institution and get trained. You go to your yoga studio and you get a 200-hour teacher training. Now, this institution or this industry typically will support you. So you go to a place of business. If you're a nurse, now you go to the hospital, and the hospital is going to provide you with a salary that's adequate, training that's adequate, like a pathway to having benefits. And so we have institutions in the yoga industry, and we kind of think that they're going to help us out. We think that now the goal is to go get a job at this yoga studio that we love. And this is the trap. This is the trap because unfortunately, currently, yoga studios and climbing gyms and gyms are not set up to be a strong root system for us to actually build a yoga teaching career or build a life that has us getting to offer yoga or have this passion of teaching that we really, really want. Yoga studios and gyms and climbing gyms where we typically get our first jobs they often pay about 25 to 45, sometimes if you're lucky, 55 per class. And I've talked about this before, but the math doesn't math. If you're going to teach one class, you usually can't be on your phone or reading a book all the way up to the time the class starts. So sometimes the magic really happens when you're checking in with students before class starts, or when they're saying, oh my goodness, during Shavasana, this happened, blah, 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 after class. So this connection that happens before or after class is really important. So you're kind of on the clock at least 15 minutes before, at least 15 minutes after, sometimes more like 30. Now, ideally, you've prepped your class in whatever way you uniquely prep your class. So that might look like planning the playlist. That might look like making a sequence that's really well thought out. And then also you have to get there, and you're often not going to work 5 hours in a row. So it's like you can't exactly charge the place for your travel. That's not exactly appropriate, but also think through in your life, you have to drive to get there and drive to get back for an hour of work, sometimes 2 classes in a row. So 30 to 65 to 75 per class is often not enough. Also, these institutions are typically not set up to give you 15 classes, or really what you would need is 20 classes to be able to really have a viable living. So you're bouncing around from place to place. There are places that can give you 18 classes a week and that have a marketing budget and a marketing team that's doing a really good job. And then you're making more like $80 a class. This is awesome. This is totally in existence, and it's very few and far between. So, and there's no pathway up. I know so many teachers like me who have been teaching forever. I've been teaching as my main job since 2012, and none of us have been offered a salaried job at these yoga institutions. I know that some people as teacher trainers do get a salaried job at yoga institutions. I know that it's possible, and it's not common. So this is not the best path, even though like when we're new to yoga, we're like, maybe the industry will support me. It looks like it might. As my software engineering background has been supportive, or as my nursing background has been supportive, or as my speech therapy, whatever fill in the blank career, we think the yoga industry might operate like that. I think the yoga industry needs some upgrades. So it doesn't. This is the trap. We think that we can rely on institutions, and often what I'm seeing is when we rely on institutions, we end up quitting because eventually the math doesn't math. The energy, I know so many teachers who make a great living in a different career, and they love teaching and they just want to do it for the passion. I hear it all the time. We're like, there's this misstep that is, oh, I'm not in it for the money. And when you don't, like, it eventually feels bad. I had a whole thing about this where volunteering feels great. It feels so good to just be like, this is what I'm committed to. I'm going to come volunteer. And it feels good. It feels like the energy exchange is like, this is my gift. I'm going to give it. And I'm happy to help. And then being paid adequately also feels good. Like the exchange of, I'm going to do this for this amount of money, and that feels like the amount of effort it's going to take. That also feels good. This weird in between where we're getting paid below minimum wage if you divide up the 3 to 5 hours that it's going to take for you to deliver a class, and then you get paid $35, that's below minimum wage. I think I see that even the teachers who are like, I'm not in it for the money, it wears on you. And these people quit. It's like, I'm going to go do something else. The thing that I see a lot is they all turn into therapists. But the passion is in movement and in yoga, and I don't want to see this anymore. And that's why I work with private clients to make sure y'all don't get stuck in the thing that so many of my teacher friends got stuck in, and they quit. They moved on because the exchange doesn't work. It doesn't build strong roots. It doesn't build a strong tree. There's no point. We move on. So if you are passionate about yoga, and I know that the people who teach yoga are deeply, this is not anybody who is drawn to teaching yoga. We are a passion-filled bunch. This is not a, oh, I'll try it, or it becomes our life. It becomes so important. So if it's so important, let's make sure you have a root system so that you can keep going. And currently, those institutions are not that root system. There's not a pathway to get a salary usually. You usually just never can get 18 classes. I loved teaching 18 classes a week when I did. It fueled me. I'm an extreme extrovert. I love being in a room of 50 sweaty people. Do it 5 hours a day. Bring it on. And I know there's so many out there that are yoga teachers that is not a thing. Like, that's not how you want to spend your day. Teaching that many classes isn't sustainable or enjoyable or helpful to your students. So this currently is not the way to do it. Teaching at yoga studios or gyms or climbing gyms can be this way to build a beautiful community or be part of a third space or get to connect to people that you really care about. There's so many good things about teaching at a studio, and they are not currently going to be the foundation that you build a yoga teaching career on. So what is the foundation? What works? Okay. Here's the 3-step process that I move through with my private yoga teacher mentee clients, and I'm just going to give it to you today. Step 1, understand and build around your unique gifts. I see all my teachers, like, this is the common thing that I see. I'm teaching Vinyasa Flow at my local yoga studio. I like it. It's fine. And then they'll mention something like, I overcame my struggle with migraines by doing this pranayama practice. And I also did this particular movement this many times a week. That is gold. First of all, like, that is going to create deep transformation for your students. And it's the thing that is deeply passionate for you. Whereas teaching Vinyasa Flow is like, meh. So building around your unique gifts is the beginning of forming that really strong root system. Ways to find your unique gifts. And like, my whole point here is like stepping outside of the status quo, stepping outside of the box. And when you step outside of the box or the status quo, which is like, now I'm on a tangent, sorry. The tangent is like, our status quo in the yoga industry isn't working. It needs a refresh. It needs a total reboot. Like, the way that yoga studios are not run on good business practices. Like, they can't pay their staff, which is wild. Like most industries, if you can't pay your staff, you don't run your business. But there's a whole long tangent about why. yoga professionals are chronically underpaid and why they agree to it. And my whole work in the world is like, let's not agree to it because it doesn't make more good in the world. So the status quo in the yoga industry isn't working, and we have to step outside of it. And when you step outside of the status quo and you're out there like on an island, you got to just own what the island is. Own who you are. Own your uniqueness. Own your unique transformation with yoga. Own your unique passions. Own the things that you nerd out about. Own who you are. Own your experience. Okay. So often I see yoga teachers are just sitting on this pot of gold and they don't know it. So how do you figure out what's that pot of gold? Sometimes it is something that is in the forefront of your mind. Like I'll hear yoga teachers say like, I'm teaching at the climbing gym, but I'm a runner, not a climber. And like, I can see how I could really help runners, it'll be kind of on the forefront, like, or it's like, I love to travel, retreats, blah, blah, blah. There's so many visions around the retreats that can be built or specific, So sometimes it's the forefront, but sometimes it's in the background and y'all don't see it. So how do you find it? Here are things to look for to find your own unique gifts. 1, your past transformation with yoga is usually a big indicator for who you can help. Often we'll say you're best suited to help people who are 2 steps behind you. It's not ideal to help people who are 10 steps behind you because you can't remember what it was like to be back there and you can't empathize. But like 2 steps behind or like 2 years ago, or, that's kind of a poetic way of saying it, but it's like a little bit ago, what was the transformation that made a big difference to you? Did you use yoga to overcome migraines? Did yoga help you in your experience as an empty nester? Did yoga help you in a time when you were overcoming a great confusion about your stance on spirituality? Did yoga help you with really tight hamstrings? And that's it, But if you can own that and understand that, now we're starting to get somewhere. So what's your transformation that made a big difference for you? Another way to look at it, number 2, is what do you nerd out about? What do you love to learn about? What could you learn about for the next 20 years? What are you listening to podcasts about or reading books about or asking people about all the time? What are you nerding out about? Are you nerding out about Sanskrit? Are you nerding out about the muscle groups in the shoulder? Right? Like there's something that you're really excited about. And that's also an indicator of how you can really provide deep transformation and deep good in the world, as opposed to just teaching a vinyasa flow class or a yin class that's just the way somebody told you to teach it, right? The last way that I like to kind of tell people to look for their unique gifts is what communities are you identified with or part of? So for me, I have a dance background and I have a lot of connection to professional dancers. I love this group. It's groups that you're identified with that you love hanging out with. So I'm a yoga teacher and I like teaching yoga. And I love mentoring my yoga mentees. And I am deeply identified with the whole culture around being a professional dancer with a ballet-based background. I went to school for it. I've spent a lot of time in it. I used to run a dance company. Like this is a group of people that I am immersed in. So that is why sometimes when somebody says I have a dance background, I'm like, hey, I can help you. I am deeply identified with that and totally in the world of connecting dance and yoga. But it's like there's other things like you love book club. You are so deeply identified with book club. You're nerding out about it. You're in it all the time. This might be a ticket to the unique thing that you have to offer in the world. Now, step number 2 after you've identified your unique gifts, is creating an offer around those unique gifts. And again, we're stepping outside the box. We're out on the island. There's no institution to help us out. What is the thing that your island has on it? What is your uniqueness here? So these can be wild. Somebody recently was like, hey, why don't we do sound baths in the pool? That was a great idea. Somebody was in their uniqueness when they thought of that. And now it's all over Instagram. But that's a great idea. What's your version of that? Like, how did you create your own transformation? Often you are able to create something based on your past experience. Did you overcome migraines by doing this pranayama this many times a week, and then this movement practice this many times a week? And did you have a specific diet that you were on while you were overcoming migraines? Great, that's your program. Like there's step 3, but you're starting to build that program. Or is there just something that you're like, love? Like, do you just love Puerto Rico and you've been a million times and you know all these different properties there and blah, 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 blah. And you're just dreaming of this program that is a retreat for X population? There it is. Of course, there's one-on-one coaching, which is what I do. And like you're moving people through a certain system that you've found to work really well. So you can really think outside the box. Is this in person? Is this online? Is this something that people travel to? Is this something that happens in your local coffee shop? There's so much, but it can't be random. Like my point is you can't randomly follow the status quo. It's not really working super great in 2026 because the status quo isn't built very strong. There's not strong roots behind that status quo. So what's the weird thing you want to do? What's the thing that has made you feel great and changed your life? How have you helped people? How do you dream of helping people? Like, go wild. I saw a yoga class the other day that was in a car mechanic shop. Great. Somebody's going wild. Somebody's brother is a car mechanic and something. And maybe it's going to change the lives of those people hunched over working on cars all day long, right? What is your uniqueness? This is step number 2 that we always work on. How do we build a program around our unique gifts? Side note, and I think I'm going to do a video on this later, but I don't mean niching down. I think there's so like, and I have found with all my private clients, when I'm like, we're going to niche down, they're all like, get me out of here. Because as yoga teachers, we have more to offer than like, I'm just going to teach to this age group with this thing. Like it sounds boring. So I wouldn't think of all of this as niching down. It is kind of like niching down, but I don't think the language applies anymore because it's like, what are your unique gifts that you have to offer people? Not like I'm going to choose a random age group and a random problem and just try. No, that's not how you're going to make strong roots for your yoga teaching career. You need to have something that is your unique gifts or your passions or the way that you've made a difference in the world already, even if that's just for yourself. Okay. Step number 3, and this is something that I spend a lot of time helping my clients with, and we have a whole system for it, but it's messaging. And the way you can think about messaging is inviting people to your party. So you build the party. You've decided back in the day, somebody decided, let's do a sound bath in a pool while you're floating in the water. But then it matters how you talk about that and how you invite people to the party. And especially in 2026, the way that we're inviting people to the party makes a big difference. Nobody wants you to be weird or markety or pushy. It's just inviting to the party. So when you have understood your unique gifts, understand what you can offer around your unique gifts, and then you can start to explain it to people who would like it, then this is the strong root system for you being able to offer something that provides so much value to people that they happily pay you $5,000 or $10,000 for the thing that you do that changes their life and changes their trajectory. Like, think about it. If you have migraines and you're dealing with that, and then somebody can help you get a handle on that and move into a direction where that isn't taking you out, that changes your whole life. And of course, that's worth $5,000 or $10,000 if now you can live life without migraines and some crazy medication, right? Whatever your thing is, even if it's a fun thing, or there's so many versions. And I see so many people with a $10,000 offer that is just so widespread. I have an art background. People do crazy art projects, right? So just think of every artist that has some crazy idea and it's uniquely them, and people pay them for it when it's of value. So this is possible for you as well. When we step outside of the trap of expecting the yoga industry to just support us, and we just think that that will happen. So we have to step outside that trap, start to build something. And the exciting thing is now you're building something that is going to help people so much. And then that is going to fuel you knowing that you're doing good in the world. And when we do this well, it also provides enough income that you can spend a lot of time doing it. And then you have a passion-driven career and you're out there spending every day helping people in the best way that you were designed to help people. So I hope this was inspiring. Feel free to message me on Instagram or comment below. I love to hear the visions that y'all are coming up with, or the thing that you've been toying with or sitting with for years. Share it with me. It will make my day. Otherwise, have a beautiful day out there. Thanks for listening. See you in another episode.